Since the early 1970s, recycling has been popularized as an easy way to decrease waste and help our planet. But what exactly can recycling do to help our environment?
And how much of what we're putting into those blue-colored bins is actually being reduced, reused, and recycled?
The benefits of recycling are conserving natural resources, reusing what we've already put out there into the world, saving water, creating less pollution. And there's also the fact that it's a huge job creator. If you can imagine 10,000 tons of waste being sent to the landfill in 1 year, that is only creating one landfill job for that amount. But for the same amount, it's creating 4 jobs at the compost facility and 10 jobs at the recycling facility. And then even later down the line, when those recyclables are being remanufactured into new products, that's another 25 jobs. To the next level, it's great for our economy. So there's nothing green about recycling if things are being shipped overseas. But if the end markets are local and we kind of close the loop for ourselves in the same state and within the United States even, that's a huge win.
Why is recycling important anyway?
Well, plastic takes more than 400 years to degrade, which means when we don't recycle our plastic products correctly, they end up sitting in landfills and floating around our oceans for hundreds of years. 91% of plastic that is consumed doesn't even get recycled, making the effects of plastic even more impactful on the ecosystems around us. Birds, marine life, and other animals that encounter it are likely to ingest it or get caught in it, resulting in injuries and death. In addition to the plastic problem, other recyclable products such as soda cans, glass bottles, and cardboard boxes that end up in landfills contribute to the amount of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere, warming our planet. Landfill gas is made up of roughly 50% methane and 15% carbon dioxide, both being extremely harmful greenhouse gases. While many of us are very familiar with how bad CO2 is for the environment, methane is actually 28 to 36 times more effective in trapping heat in the atmosphere over a 100-year span than CO2 is. And it certainly does not help that municipal solid waste landfills are the 3rd largest source of human-related methane emissions in the United States.
It's funny because with waste, if you look at greenhouse gas emission reports, they kind of leave waste out of the picture, for the reason that it's complicated because our products are produced elsewhere, shipped somewhere else, consumed in another place, thrown out in another place. So it's kind of hard to say whose responsibility it is to report that. So really the only thing you can track is landfill emissions, methane emissions. And so what we really should be looking at is the life cycle analysis of our products. Because that will give us the true information on how our consumption is affecting climate change. We call it consumption emissions.
So, Rosie, I was wondering, what does recycling look like in DU's campus and in Denver in general?
Well, Sam, I'm glad you asked. 25% of what is thrown away is actually recyclable. Even more shocking, in 2018, 95% of the items that ended up in landfills could have been recycled or composted. To even further demonstrate these deficiencies in the ability of Denver residents to recycle, let's take a look at this graph. Compared to other states, Colorado recycles significantly less per capita. We, as a state, average at only just above 1 pound per capita. This is significantly lower than the national average, which is approximately 3 pounds per capita. Of those things that we do recycle, some of the most common materials are, let's take a look at another graph. Some of the most common materials, as you can see, are cardboard, paper, and yard trimming / wood.
So everything that you're throwing into your purple cart at home is going to the recycling facility. Why would someone go through the trouble of creating a whole recycling system just to put it in the landfill? What has been happening throughout the country is kind of dictated by the overseas end markets saying, hey, we don't want this junk you've been sending us to recycle anymore. And so a lot of cities, especially along the coast that depended on those markets, started having to landfill things because they didn't have an end market for it in the United States. Something that we're really trying to get out there to the public is that Denver is different. Really, we don't send that much away from the US. Almost every type of material stays domestic. I think the biggest issue that our recycling facility always comes back to us with is the plastic bags in the recycling, whether the bags are in the recycling or you're bagging your recyclables, they just don't want it. Plastic bags and plastic films get caught up in the turning parts of the machinery at the facility and can break it.
Well, Sam, this has been a great day learning about recycling, but what can I do in my day-to-day life to promote recycling in Denver?
The future of recycling in Denver, I think the important thing is that people recycle right, not use their recycle carts as trash. Understand that by recycling, they're participating in a larger system that affects, the facility that it goes to, the employees that are sorting at that facility, and then if it can be turned into something later down the line because of contamination or not. I mean, I think in general, people should just be buying less single-use plastics and really focusing on reducing our consumption in general and reusing as much as possible.
We're for sure moving forward pretty quickly and with the city of Denver kind of side by side, just because the facilities that we need to recycle and compost most of our materials also happens to be facilities outside of campus. Is that we're trying to cut out all single-use plastic and anything that has to go into the landfill. And the second part of that is education of students, because a lot of the times you have students who don't know where compost goes or which is recycling, and they'll just throw everything in the landfill, or they'll put it in the wrong bin, and then that whole bin has to be landfilled.
Many forms of energy production, resource extraction, material collection, material refining, and processing practices require combustion of fossil fuels such as oil and gasoline, either directly or by extension. Participation in recycling greatly reduces the amount of frequency of these practices, and as a result, dramatically reduces greenhouse gas emission.
Well, Sam, thanks for an awesome day of learning about recycling and recycling and waste in the Denver area.
Yeah, I had a blast.
Well, something we learned is that we're all here together.
Recycling can only happen all together.